I'd always wanted to have a hit, probably a hit song, really. But if I was attempting to write a hit play, it certainly wouldn't have been a play about drinking and driving. So no one is more surprised by the immense success that Too Much Punch for Judy has had than me. Um, it, it's just amazing. The success came very, very quickly as well. This letter is dated 13th of April 1987, so that's whilst we were performing from the BBC, and they're saying, we'd like to get together with you and we'd like to put a production on or something. It never came to anything. And many of these big ideas never do come to anything. But one did. And we were so lucky at Epping because we got really early on the interest of the road safety department. Rosie and David were the two road safety officers there, Rosie Welch and David Lindsay, and they came and watched a rehearsal. I have to say it was dreadful because it was so democratic. They couldn't really see any progress, but despite that, and based on the quality of the script, which is what they really felt, they put some money into it, gave us some staging that we'd never had before, so we were able to use different levels. And they then got a massive grant, a £7,000 grant. Heaven knows how much that will be now. A lot of money to put on a tour for the youth theatre to take the play to every school in Essex County. And that was going to be a 10-week tour. It was absolutely impossible to get the young people time off school to do that. So as a second best option, I said to them, well, we've got a professional theatre company based at our school called TOUCHSTONE. Phil and Helen were in charge of TOUCHSTONE, and they ran a lovely theatre and education company and had performed plays, and we'd given them a home in our drama studio so that they could rehearse there. In return, they do some educational stuff for us. And it was a lovely relationship. We did some amazing things. One of them you can see in my drama schemes book was a lesson on cultures, which we did across the whole year 9. So all year 9 were involved simultaneously. It was a group of, I think we did it 2 groups of 90 doing this huge lesson. And we did some just astounding stuff. They came into normal lessons. They directed a play with the youth theatre. And I said to them, you could do this. And they said, yeah, we'd love to. And they did. And they got the money from the road safety people and they went out on tour. And that was TOUCHSTONE going out on tour. They'd seen John's fantastic design, so they took that. That's the TOUCHSTONE Theatre Company design. They hired a director from some opera company, I think. I didn't know him. That's Helen there. And David, who was the director. There they are in rehearsals in our lovely little black drama studio in Epping. And they rehearsed the play. They made some alterations to it to make it work for 4 people, which was really good. But I had a little reservation that I wanted to be more involved than I was, and I turned up to see the. I can remember I turned up to see the last rehearsal before they went off on tour, and I was introduced as the drama teacher, and I thought, oh, I actually wrote this play. But there we are. That's what it was, and it was. It was great. They did a lovely tour. They got. I can remember taking Tony with me one day, and when it came to the moment where they mentioned the date, we looked at one another because it was the date. It was the anniversary of the car accident. They managed to establish a fantastic reputation for the play across Essex. They toured it in Scotland, and it started its life with TOUCHSTONE, and I'm forever grateful for them. And they also let me know that I could have some royalties from it, which was something I didn't know. I didn't receive them during the Essex tour, but when it moved to Scotland, I was paid, and it was the first time I'd heard of these things called royalties. I don't know what happened, but something later on that year, I think possibly because they hadn't written it and they wanted to produce work of their own, they said at the end of that year they didn't want to use it. They didn't want to continue working with it, although there were road safety authorities who were wanting to do it. So I was left with a little conundrum of what's going to happen then, and I'll let you know in a future episode what happened to that. But what they'd established was the way in which it could be toured with two male actors, two female actors, and it became a very strong TIE piece of work that I'd had very little hand in. Certainly the direction, I'd had no hand in that at all, and it was great for the first time ever in my writing life to see my written work interpreted by a completely different company, with me having had a hands-off approach. I was looking forward to a more hands-on approach. Also, this little book had started to get out, and it had got into schools, and this is 1980. Two schools in Richmond, Richmond School and Lady Lumley's School, by 1990 were putting the play on. So it was getting out there and into other schools, and that was the beginning of Too Much Punch for Judy. In 1987, at the end of 1987, I was off to Southampton, and that is going to be the subject of the next one. I promised it would be this one, but it will be the next one.